we know there's a dire need of a platform to bridge the link gap between diaspora. You know,
It's
and there's
amazing.
no point just having this chat if we don't have a platform that pushes that narrative. Then it's almost a waste of time, because everything that we talk about and we capture, once we enhance that value, it certifies the need. The kids section, for instance, that is driven by a lady who suggested it. I think it was the second podcast we had, who said, okay, what about the kids? What about the Nigerian kids in diaspora? How are we going to, you know, if a kid is 10-year-old now, in another 10 years and has never been to Nigeria, is he not a Nigerian anymore? So the thinking started from there. Of course it is, but how do you align that kid with things happening? So there has to be a platform that can feed directly from us to the little kid, maybe somewhere in Onitsha. You know, like the pen pal system of the olden days. So instead of having a pen pal, you guys can meet together on a platform, you know, speak the same dialect or exchange the same kind of information you would do from before. And then you can move, that can transgress into some kind of studying together. Okay. Right. So, welcome everybody. Sorry, we were just going through a slight demo with the TNN platform, which, like we said, for those who just jumped in, that has been built directly from our conversations here. If you watched one of the first platforms, that didn't exist. Sorry, the first podcast, all of that did not exist. We made the decision to build it within here while we were talking. I think one time Sandra mentioned something about the platform, and we took that on board, David, and we built that specific need. That's the need to collaborate. So this is all powered by technology, and the technology topic for today has just highlighted itself on a very, very high scale to say those are possibilities and we can do more than that. And all that you saw there, I would say from our pockets, basically nothing. It was all services from different people saying, we can do this for you, we can do this for you, we can do this for you. And boom, and it's the same thing we're offering back to you guys here, and obviously the guys in Nigeria. We can do these things, we can connect together, we can make things work, we can come up with courses, we can design platforms, we can make vocational programs, we can do all this as long as there is a need for it and there's a system it can plug into after that. You know? Okay. All right, that's good now. All right, then, sorry. If we start from where we were, so I'm just going to share my screen again so we can highlight the topics of today. The conversation is leveraging technology in our urban and rural communities in Nigeria. Let's start off with, do we have any standards, please? You know, I think it would be a key one, Abi, if you want to highlight those standards that we think we're lacking, or standards that you think are existing already, or if you don't think we have standards, then that can start a conversation, and then, you know, people can chip in, and then we can keep it from there.
Good evening. Well, you put me on the spot, but
no, that's the whole point. We're on the call. We're not here to just look at each other now. Yeah. Everybody on the call should be ready to think about something.
But it's okay. Yeah. I think I've got a PhD student who is looking at standards and standardization as it affects innovation. Okay, so I think I will differ slightly with the first speaker. You know, in the sense that I think standards are important. Okay, we need to have standards. Otherwise, if you take example your house, you know, if you want to buy a door, okay, the doors have standard dimensions. You know, so whenever I go to the shop and buy a door, it can fit. So I think there's need to have standards. Okay, but at the same time, standards can be a limiting. Okay, so we just need to be mindful of when to circumvent standards. You know, so for example, if we want to depend on the British standards, for example, okay, that means we'll be subject to a lot of conditionalities. You know, but if we have our own Nigerian standards, like Saul is saying, but somebody else typed and said we don't have standards, but I don't know. Okay, so if we don't have standards, then we must try to create one. I think it's important for us to have standards if we must get things right.
Okay, go on, Abby.
I was just going to say that I agree with the last speaker. I think we have standards, but the standards, how are they regulated? Because you can have when you look at how clever our fellow Nigerians are with technology, what they do with 419 online, that is good quality. But how is it regulated? They can't do it. But I just think, like you said, you can't go by the British standard. Maybe so there has to be a regulatory body that can kind of say, if you're going to build a house, it has to meet this standard. If you're going to set up a website, it has to meet this standard. And then how do you now enforce those standards? I think we've got standards. It's just like everybody's standard. People have their own standard of doing things. I think we've got standards.
Okay.
But are they good quality? Are they regulated? Are they implemented? Are they, I don't know.
Right. I mean, everybody is free to speak. You can unmute yourself because this is an open chat. Sorry for the guys who are just joining. That I know some of you might be your first time, so don't feel intimidated. Unmute yourself if you can. If you've got a lot of value to drop in, please just unmute yourself and say something or interject at the right point in time. That's the whole point to enhance this conversation. So I know, Doc, you were going to say something, Dr. Aloha, in terms of standards. Right. You can unmute yourself, Doc, I suppose.
Okay, good. I think, sorry to say this, but when we talk about standard, you standardize where there are variables in front of you to standardize. The level we are in Nigeria, we are not at that point yet. Because when you look at technology, what is technology? Technology is the application of science.
Nice. Yeah.
Application of science. So it's about application.
Right.
Most oftentimes we want to accept Western understanding of what science is about. Science is just simply the systematic process, a systematic defined process of doing things. So it's so simple. Our people have been involved in science, but they never knew it. Our people have been involved in technology. They never knew it. So I think a forum of this nature, obviously it's very welcome to sensitize our people to look inwards. What we are looking for, what we are, desperately looking for is just within our systems. We need to look inwards, look into our cultural dynamics. Culture is the sociology of human interaction. When we look inwards, a lot of answers are there, answers to address most of our problems. Now, how do we harness those variables that we are looking for to address the problems that we face today? I think those are the things that we should be looking out for.
Let me just put you on the spotlight here. I completely agree, but how do we leverage that now? For instance, one of the key points that we want to establish is, okay, how do we leverage technological standards that we already have or qualifications we have? And don't forget that at the end of the day, technology at this point in time is not really defined by the best university. You know, you can have a situation where, if you learn something for 2 weeks, you can earn more than somebody who's been earning for the last 5 years or who has been in a program for 5 years.
Yeah.
As long as you know exactly what you need to study, right? That is what we want to try and unlock now, because there might be instances where I might know 1 or 2 things that I know we can leverage of. I actually do, but collectively is what we are about. Collectively, how do we start looking at these things that we can leverage on? For instance, let's move on to vocational value-driven qualifications, for instance, right? We go to the university, we spend 2-3 years on specific things, and then we come out, we do the job hunt thing, right? But these days, you can look at vocational courses that can really, really just amplify the individual, right? So you're learning something new, it's making you change, it's changing your orientation. But how do we now leverage off that situation as a collective? Anybody can chip into this, and Doctor, if you want to continue, that's fine. But I was hoping that we can spin around what you started off from, and then.
Well, if I could come in, just like the doctor said, standards are already set. We need to improve on those standards, and the only way I think we can leverage on it is by everyone who participates, I keep saying this, who participates in our conversation, to set themselves tasks, offer these tasks around, set timelines, and deliver these tasks. If these tasks are achieved, it means we can improve, we have improved, and we can continue to improve.
Are those tasks, would it be like you coming out and making courses specifically for specific needs? For instance, if you know that the healthcare sector is struggling in Nigeria and you have the ability to define, or rather to come up with solutions, are you saying we can actually just package that as a task?
I would always want to include or involve the people on ground. Don't forget, this is a two-way process. It is diaspora linking with Nigeria and Nigeria linking with diaspora. There's processes already set in Nigeria. There's people who already look after these processes. I would look to align with them and share value on how we can improve their processes. And if an improved value is found from whatever I import to enable that value already on ground to improve, then yes, I will leverage on trying to make contact, definitely.
Those standards, how can we assure that it's being met across board? So the rural guys and the urban guys, there's just going to be a disparity, if you approach it that way. Do you think?
We have someone here who can emphasize on that. I think Daphne, who's been working on urban rural integration, can expand on what she's been doing in Ebonyi State. Daphne, if you want to please expand on that. Are you here?
Yeah, can I come in?
Yeah,
yes.
So Daphne.
Okay, so I think I like what you said earlier on, so concerning technology and how it could be. You didn't put it this way, I'm going to put it, but what I got from it is that technology could be the new education, for the Nigerian youth.
Thank you.
Because from my experience here, most youths, even though they are very hungry for education, they have almost given up on education, on the traditional education we know of. So in going forward, I think that the way we could come in, to address this issue and help out the youth in this part of the world, is to come up with a new kind of education. And that is where technology, technological know-how comes in. If we can train youths, instead of talking about spending 3, 4, 5 years in a traditional school, if we could come up with vocational kind of arrangements where youths can be exposed to, technological know-how like coding and all our modern day computer, know-hows. I think yes, because the average Nigerian is intelligent. That is certain. So I think we could deal directly with these youths and expose them. What they lack and what they need is exposure, and expose them to the different technological know-hows they can gain from the diaspora.
Great. I mean, that's a good way to wrap that section off, leveraging of technology, because we started obviously a little bit slow in terms of, okay, let's see the standards, let's look at qualifications. And to be fair, the value unlocked so far, because that's what this is all value driven. The value unlocked so far is that, do we sit on the existing standards? I'm guessing no. Or do we look at new standards? Or do we create our own standards? We've ascertained that that's possible. We know that we don't have to rely on that. We look at the vocational value-driven qualifications, but we didn't talk about the methodologies to implement this. That would come in later. But now, if we go into what Daphne has said, we have to look at vocational qualifications and vocational education. Online learning is a big deal. If we can sit on that for a bit, and the reason I know everybody here has more or less experienced some kind of online learning from what they're doing. So how do we package that and give it back based on what you know, or what you're seeing, or what you think is relevant? How do we now package that and send it back home, or package it and integrate it with ongoings back home? I, for instance, sit on the remit that coding needs to be taught to school as early as 10 years old. If a child learns how to code at 10, you have a very, very bright future for a community or an institution, or even within that local state or the country itself, because you pick up coding. I started coding at a very young age when I first came to this country. And the stuff I learned on my first semester at university, I still apply the logic today. The kids I know in Nigeria that are being taught coding, the conversations I have with those kids, because I use the technical term, is different from the conversations we have with kids that we work with when we just talk about sports and football. So there's value two ways for these kids, but you guys might have different kind of value that technology gives. So if somebody wants to highlight one of theirs, it would be exceptionally brilliant if you can, please. Just give us an instance where you know this has worked or what you think should work.
Definitely can give you an example, for example, because I working at the hospital as the BAMI project coordinator with this recent COVID, development. So they needed to find out what the impact is having on BAMI staff, and so the Black and minority ethnic groups. So
Right.
they wanted to see that because they are the frontline staff that's been affected. So evidence showed that they've been affected and that. So and then they needed, that I do like a testimonial video for them, to see basically just like 2 minutes interview to see how, they've been affected and what should be done. And then I saw like part of, when I was doing that, and I saw like, during the editing phase, I said, okay, there was something in there that I needed to brush up on, like previously when I studied in the uni, it took about, I think that took about 3 months, for that particular stuff for that. Or just a quick link to YouTube, and it was there on the page, and I learned it in about 10 minutes. And I was like, this is something that, can be taken, and transformed into, for the young people in Nigeria. Like, you don't need, going back to what we said, you don't need that kind of like elongated study and everything. As somebody, so many talented people in Nigeria that can pick these things up, like these are the kind of things that should be in the forefront in terms of study. And for the youths right now, these are the things that they should be gearing towards, as like somebody alluded, earlier just now saying, the 419 mechanism, like the stuff that the energy that is put towards that, if somebody directs that towards something like this. So yeah, we just have to put this at the forefront to say, look, we don't need that, the old school method of study, so yeah, that was just one of those examples I have. So I have many, but obviously it's just something at the tipping point I can share right now.
Great stuff. Anybody else? Because this is part of it. We're sitting in that section, how to combat education and health and obviously poverty using online learning or online platforms. So if you have examples where you think leverage can be or value can be tapped into, please highlight it because we will do a deep dive into the technology in a bit and the kinds of technology. We're just touching around examples. You can hear from that it helps with the brain process. Especially guys in Nigeria, like Daphne, I know you're on ground. I think Eugene is here. Hi, Eugene. And then we have a few other people as well. So if anybody wants to unmute themselves and just give us a rundown of how they think technology can help with combating this education, and then interjections can come in.
Very much. Good evening, everybody from this angle. I've listened to very wonderful contributions from participants. I want to say a very big thank you. We've done a lot. Here in Nigeria, I think we really need to look into, draw the thin line between technical and vocational education. In the Western climb, they may be very closely knitted, but here they are of two types. Why I say they are different is that technical education has to do with even those that have gone to school, who've been to the 4 walls, even of a university, but at the same time, into technical related issues coming out of maybe unemployment and those stuffs. So they are like retooling to get absorbed into the workforce that they create for themselves as entrepreneurs or maybe employed by a government or organized private sector. Then we have the vocational education. Vocational education more is within the locals that are into like tiles, brick making, and those were the vocational stuffs. So what we have down here is a thin line between, we're able to differentiate between technical and vocational. And I want to say that here, there is a high level of, the level of education is high. Education as an informal, that is understanding that there's a need for you to work hard, there's a need for you to do something for yourself, there's a need for you to learn a skill, there's a need for you to get integrated into the society through vocational or technical innovation. So that level of education is already there. People are interested, people want to do something. Then in the area of technology per se, blue chip technology, that it's to a very large extent has been wrongly deployed in this climb. So we really need to look at it critically, because you may come up with a lot of creativity, innovation to really, show up the understanding of our people. And then at the end of the day, it may be deployed in the wrong direction. Like one of the speakers mentioned, Nigerians are actually very, without prejudice, very intelligent people, especially the youth class. How can we use that energy? How can we deploy it effectively? We really need to look at, bringing in this technology, and at the same time, looking at the fundamentals in terms of deploying it to our people, deploying it within the youth class. We may need to really look at high technology in terms of the blue chip technology, vocational education on the ground, on the other end, and then at the middle, technical education. Once we're able to, draw the thin line, you see that we'll be able to now fix the audience, square pegs in square holes. Thank you.
Excellent. Sandra, do you want to pick it up with Eugene?
Yeah, that's interesting. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I was just listening with interest there. Really, really interesting stuff. But I think everything that we keep talking about on this platform keep coming back to education for some reason. And I think it's because we've been so lacking in the past that there are so many gaps everywhere we look that we need to kind of plug. The idea of vocational qualification and courses is definitely the way to go, particularly with technology. I like the idea that was mentioned by Oakverse, I'm not sure what your name is, sorry, about, looking at something. For him, it took 3 months to learn that, but actually it took 10 minutes to kind of make it work and understanding that. So it's transferring that knowledge onto somebody else, that practical knowledge to someone else, I think is definitely going to be a bonus, without a doubt. My only concern from the education side of things is what Tona said, I think it was, around quality assurance, around content verification, standardizing the whole package of learning. Because what we don't want is individuals actually writing their own stuff, their own content, based on their own experience, however narrow that experience might be, and then putting it out there. So if we really want to change the way we do things, the way we think and all of that, I think a group of academics need to come together and write the content. And it could be practical people. When I say academics, I don't mean in terms of, books, but they need to come together and write the content, and everyone sign up to that as being the best that could be had. And then look for means and channels in which to put that out to the rural areas as well. Mm-hmm. Another problem that would create, and I think we need to kind of be mindful of that, is the energy that we have in Nigeria. And I mean energy supply now, not our physical energies, but energy supply, in the sense that if you put this out, say you put it out in the classroom, that's not a problem, easily done. But if you put it out on a platform average Nigerians are always grappling with data and stuff. So we need to kind of find a way in which we manage all of that. So particularly in the rural areas, you know, how they can afford to actually look at these materials online and learn from it. So I'm not trying to throw issues out there, but it's something that we need to kind of be mindful of as well when we're thinking about this. So for me, it's about quality assurance, good content, you know, the right content, and you know, be competitive, because like we have the likes of Facebook and Google, you know, in that space, but their role is slightly different. I don't think their role is necessarily education, is more of, you know, the end user type of role. So, but the education one for the kids is really important, how we kind of get that right so that they learn the right stuff that can stand them in good stead with the world, really.
I mean, thanks a lot, Sandra. One of the things you said that is really, really captivating is, hey, if people come together and define more or less a program, but would that not be standardizing something as well? You know, like we kicked off saying we need to come up with our own standards. Would that not be relating to if you have a bunch of professors come together and say, okay, this program is going to take 3 months. If you deliver it to X amount of kids in this community, this is what you're going to get at the end of it. Would that not be defining a standard? And would it not be right if the government or somebody can put a marker on that standard?
Yeah, we can't get away from standard setting.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the only way you can all agree. We can all agree that actually this is the level at which we want to pitch the content. And this is the acceptable standard at which we're going to work, you know, and we're going to raise Nigeria and the education of people in Nigeria. You can't allow people to be so many differences in terms of quality and stuff, you know, so there has to be some standard, but we can set our own standard. We don't have to go with the Western world. Nigerians, and when I talk about people coming together, I'm talking about Nigerians coming together, you know, and forming their own standards, really, based on their agreed, because they would have discussions as to what do they think the standard should look like? What do they think that the level at which we're trying to mark ourselves against? You know, who are we benchmarking against for a start? You know, are we benchmarking against other African countries or the Western world? Or is it just really actually Nigeria is going to set its own standard and that's it? But everyone needs to know what that standard is.
Right.
You know?
From a vocational point of view, I think that is flexible, and you guys, you can chip. It's flexible because that can be channeled into some kind of delivery. It can be channeled into some kind of occupation. It can be channeled to work. For instance, perfect example is what I studied in university is not linked at all with what I'm doing today. Simply because there is a standard in place for vocational qualifications. And as soon as you finish that qualification, there's a need for it. There's a market waiting for it. For instance, we'll go back to coding. I know there's a few people who code here, right? If you learn a particular coding language, if you learn the building blocks of those languages, like building a house, as long as you know how to lay the bricks, right, you can decide what the house is going to look like later on. That's what coding gives the individual. So they learn on the basic level to say, okay, yeah, I can build this, whatever, right? So there's no standard for that. You just need to know how to learn. It's like knowing how to speak a language. You know how the few words, right? But when you now decide that you want to master the English language, then you say, okay, yeah, you go and do something specific. But that's not to say with a little English, you know, you can't get a job as a top banker. You can't get a job as a top developer if you know X amount of things required. And age is not a factor when it comes to that. That's the key value in there. That if we can come up with a standard of say, okay, coding can be the new gold for the kids in Nigeria. It can be delivered from primary, secondary, and even up to university level on a level, right? But allowing it to develop and putting those markers in place to extract the values where I think we will struggle. How does he exercise, or rather, how does he exhibit the good stuff he's doing? Who does he show it to? How is it controlled? How is it managed? You know, how would we measure that success story? I think that's where diaspora comes in, but the guys on ground can help us with that. they think there's going to be a blocker there.
If Delta State wants to adopt this now, okay, we already have projects in Delta. IVS, as you know, the Village Square, can take this and say, let's use 3 cities as an example. Can you speak to them what we have on the ground and how you guys can collaborate with us using IVS as the driving platform?
So while we're waiting for Eugene, can I just say something?
Of course, that's the hope.
See, as we're talking, as you were talking, Sol, I was saying to myself that, yes, we're talking about education, but then again, you can link that to health. Because my background is in nursing, and I'm thinking things like, we know that, yes, classrooms, schools can provide technology, can provide computers and things. What if, like in the community, in the villages, we have like drive-by cinemas, or like billboards, where you have like health messages, like demonstrating CPR or teaching basic health concepts.
Right.
You don't have, people can, and it can be taught in a language like, say, Pidgin English. I'm sure most people, I think most people understand Pidgin English, so that you don't have to walk through all of the languages. And people are sitting down, having a drink, working, or just chatting on the streets. They spend like 5-10 minutes watching a health program. They don't have to pay for it. They don't have to worry about NEPA cuts. They don't have to, you know, sit at home, and they can have a discussion amongst themselves. So I'm thinking that maybe is a way of delivering the service. And then one we can, how then can we measure the success of that is by seeing how knowledgeable people are. What do they talk about? Are they, is it a converse? Is it a topic that people, you know, share? I'm just thinking. So maybe
that's a good one. Eugene, are you back? Just before you pick up with us, that's a great one, because it goes back to from education. We look at orientation now, isn't it? You know, because if you're going to deliver something that is going to affect change, that's an orientation started. But how do we know? How do we measure that success? Is where I think we're struggling, isn't it? Because this is all about technology. So we deliver the right technology to create the right impact. We know technology can tackle education. We know that for a fact. We know it can help with healthcare, 100%. You know, we don't really want to talk about the technology per se, because we know what it can do. We know it can combat poverty. But the key thing is, okay, from diaspora, if we say we all collaborate and do stuff, the measuring, or rather the monitoring mechanism, is where I think we might fall short. So if we're going to package something for a 12-year-old kid, right, when the kid is 13, how do we know that there's value inside what we've done? Are we going to align it with a project? Can we align it with a project? Would it be the ideal situation? Or is there an existing mechanism from individuals who want to embrace this technology?
Okay, so just a quick one. I think I want to emphasize on the word empowerment.
Right.
When we talk about value and impacting on the youth down here, I think at the end of the day, what we want to achieve is empowerment. If, for example, we come down here and we do our thing, maybe have a driveway cinema where we could use it as a channel to educate the youth and the public. At the end of the day, we ask ourselves, these youths listen to or watch this whatever we're giving out to them. But at the end of the day, what are they going to do with this stuff? What they need here is empowerment. What the word is empowerment. And in so speaking, I would rather look for ways we could, you know, empower the youths.
Right.
Whatever we are teaching them, you know, it should be something that they could run with after some time. After a period of time, they finish learning, they run with it on their own. We are very independent people. And so I believe that with the right training and little help in terms of tools, yes, the average Nigerian can run, you know, with whatever knowledge they're able to gather from this whole project.
Excellent, Daphne. I think that kind of that drives us nicely into the main thing of the conversation, which is where we are now. So harnessing these online diaspora resources, basically looking for ways to empower ourselves. And then how can that accelerate the kind of change? Accelerating that change is obviously dealing with the reality of the fact that a lot of us has been accelerated online, including the kids. So kids who were going to classrooms before, now they're looking at their phones, they're looking at their computer screens, they're looking at ways to improve themselves. So that is empowerment. So technology, I think it should now, this more or less is how will technology empower our youths back home, and how can we champion that as a collective? Be you in the diaspora or be you in Nigeria, or as Nigerians now, how can we do that? I mean, empowerment is something I know works. I would give a spotlight to a gentleman who does a lot of that and uses technology to do that, just to give us the snippet of how that can be achieved from his point of view, which is empowering the Nigerian youth with technology. Mr. Alex Ihama just joined the call. I know he's pressed for time, but you know, we're on that topic, and then we can go round robin, everybody gives their own bit, and then we can see how it goes from there. So Alex, if you have a minute for that would be great. So if you have some time, just to say, hey, look, empowering the youth based on using technology. A few examples would be ideal. The focus is from a diasporic point of view as well.
Well, hello everybody, it's Alex Ihama. Something that the youths in Africa are way ahead of, if I could say, is technology.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't know that, right? They think I'll give you a very specific example, which I thought is quite interesting. I was in a hotel, and this happened both to me now in Malawi, Kenya, and Nigeria. And that was when I knew that, okay, this is. So whenever I check into a hotel when I travel to Africa, I said, the first thing I tell them, I say three things: constant electricity, Wi-Fi, and anything else, noise. So Wi-Fi for me is really huge. And he says, oh, no, you know, no problem, you know, everything's working. I said, okay. I went upstairs, I tried to log into my computer, it won't work. I went back down to the hotel. I said, what's going on? He brought out his phone. He's a young man. He says, see, I'm on Facebook and his own is working. I said, but why is the internet not working? So anyway, save the long story. And that happened again. Then I realized actually that it comes with their phone. Whether you have light, you don't have light, you have the Wi-Fi, you don't, they are always online. So we built our school. We have a school called the School of Greatness. We have over 200,000 students in 45 nations. And we have a target of 5 million youth specifically in Africa by 2025. We leverage Facebook, and they are consistently with us. So through whatever technology they are using through their phone, they can access the program. When I go to Nigeria or go to Africa, or I have the chances to speak to professors, I challenge them. So these are sometimes really private university. I'm like, these guys are learning from me on Facebook and they can, you know, like, what are you doing leveraging those technology to support? This is where you find them. You find them. Africa has about 700 million people under 35. Under 35, 700 million. That means that at least 80% are on Facebook. Are you kidding me? I understand that Mark Zuckerberg has some agreement with some countries, not companies, countries, to make Facebook free. That is, whether you have light, you don't have light, Facebook will work on your phone. How he does that, that's up to him. He's put some stuff in the space, I understand. So there are other things going. So the school system, I think maybe what's driving that is, again, opinion-based. Those are experiential, but this one is maybe opinion. Maybe the demography with regards to age, as per, you know, professors and all the people who run the institutions, they are behind in catching up with the technology that the people are already using. Right, so COVID came now and forced everybody to stay home. Right. Literally, my business blew up. Like literally, our profit is like if every weekend we literally can cash money everywhere. Why? Because we've been building this technology for 20 years. I was doing webinars before Facebook. I was doing webinars, all these things before. So, and they would not listen. And I'm not only talking Africa now. We are very huge in Caribbean. I have over 3,700 students in Jamaica. Jamaica, I know the Prime Minister, I know the head of stock exchange, all the heads of the banks, and you know, they too were slow to catch up, but now they are calling. I'm every day, 2-3 times, I'm doing seminar training executives in banks in Jamaica, across. When I told them, let's do this, they say, and I'm not reducing my price. Whether you fly me down, I have open tickets. I tell them, I'm not reducing it. Like, this is what it is. You should have been here. So they are the youth, they are the corporation, they are certainly the churches, which are still struggling to catch up. Some had said Facebook was from the devil. So what we are saying is, specifically, again, you're talking of youth. If the educational system does not become open to every kind of technology, whether it's what they call that one, a TikTok talk or something they call TikTok, whatever. If you're not open to using that to sending your messages or empowering the youth, then you are in business for yourself. That means, because business means your focus is to ensure that your message gets to the people. You hit the target. It's like selling bananas and you say, I'm going to sell it to lions. If lions don't want banana, give them what they want. So if if this is where you find them, then the school system, and I don't want to call some names, some university, I think Solo, you will know them, especially some of those high profile universities. I know they are presidents and stuff, and they're so behind. We were trying to enter some agreement with some of them way before Corona. It didn't work. Even during Corona, it's still not working. So we just left them alone, and we're building our own infrastructure.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said these tools are available. Obviously, I'm a digital marketer and I know they're all there, but I want us to exchange value. That's what this platform is about. People unlock different kinds of value. If I start talking about what I have seen from my own front, I will probably be here all day. But it's nice to hear from you guys back home in terms of, okay, the relevance you're looking at. We're on the topic of empowering the youth using technology. You look at remote learning, for instance. Alex hit the nail on the head. Every Nigerian youth, you know, over the age of 14 is on Facebook on a level. There are courses within Facebook that teach Chinese students outside of China how to learn Chinese. There are courses on Facebook there that are packaged towards coding. There are courses there. So you have that platform already that will guarantee connectivity, right? It's getting the right individuals that know how to use those platforms to instill the right knowledge to the folks. This is where we might struggle with the folks on ground because they themselves might not even know the power of that technology. For instance, we talk about webinars and targeted workshops, right? You can target a specific workshop for 15-year-olds. That would run for 3 months using the Facebook platform every day for those workshops. You can create rooms within Facebook free. And those rooms nowadays, they're competing with Zoom, they're competing with Teams. Now, those rooms will give you all the tools you need to even showcase and present things as well. Do we know this? Do the organizations, do the government know all of this? My answer is leaning towards no. You know, so if we go back to what Doc was saying, like where we started off with Dr. Aloha saying, okay, we need to somehow start looking at standards way of thinking. You know, using these tools is a standard as well. It's a standard for all of us here to say, okay, if we come together, for instance, and design something and put into a Facebook room, it's a standard because we know it works. You know, we've standard.
So what I'll say to that, I don't know if I would say they don't know about it. Perhaps they themselves are not open to it more than know about it because everybody, they have kids, right? They know. So I don't know about, there's a difference between knowing about it and being open to it, right? So you're talking of all these things. Our students, 80%, we do Facebook. We have closed Facebook group. You pay your fees, you get access to it. You don't pay your fees, you remain in the open group.
Could that possibly be because of the environment or 100%. The system?
100%.
Could it be because?
So, but the youth are using it. So if you're a professor and you are in class, I can guarantee you right now, if you back them writing on the board, if they still do that, the kids are doing ta 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 ta. So what environment? We are both in the same classroom. We are both in the same Benin or the same Lagos or the same Abuja or wherever we are. So they have kids. They know that there's nobody.
I'm talking generally of the professors that you mentioned or the parents, you know. Could it be that they haven't caught, you know, the kids these days are actually technology born, you know? Yeah, so could it be that the parents or the professors actually need training as well?
Yes.
actually need a bit of mentoring.
Yes, yeah, but they need to be open to it. So what I'm saying is, with learning, I mean, we're all learners or learner people, both learners and learner people. Number one, the knowledge is available. So you have to be open to it. So if you're not open to, so I have spoken to professors. They say, you know, Alex, we follow you online. We see the great stuff. You know, we really need to talk about this. But when we are talking about it, sometimes the council meetings, sometimes they are distracted. So the interest, in my opinion, and believe me, I don't want to call professors. Some of you know some of them. These are, you know, the interest is like this, is very low. But if you say, let us raise funds to build a new faculty, or let us raise funds to buy something they can see and touch, they are excited. Alex, bring investors, right? So it's actually less of the interest. And sometimes, you know, generations needs to change before people catch up with it. The truth of the matter is everybody's on technology. Youth empowerment, youth in Africa. In fact, I spoke to somebody yesterday, is in UK. I spoke to another person is in US. They are both technology folks. We just got a new contract to build a massive technology. So we are looking at how to increase our profit margin. And he told me, say, there's this group of young people in Lagos that did something for them in America, and they were cheaper to pay because they're in Lagos. So that we're setting up meetings. So the technologies in Africa, whether no light or light, is working. The talent is in there, and the youth are excited. So it's like, here's water. Why don't I get baptized? The reason is if Philip say doesn't want to baptize you, what could you do then? So that is the problem we are having. The people in charge of that gap, their interest is very low. Like I said, tell them now, say, let's raise funds to build a new faculty. This place will be filled up. Everybody wants to be part of it. Yeah. Tell them now, let's bring Facebook. They say, are you sure it is this? Because they are not interested.
Okay. Well, just for that, Alex, I mean, I kind of agree more with that. We are time boxed. There's about 10 of us here, and we normally end up with a round robin. I think you joined us late. We just do a round robin, and everybody unlocks their own kind of value based on specifics. At this point in time, it's a case of targeted technologies, you know, that we know can bring value from either from the diaspora or from within us. If we can have one or two, or we can highlight it. So basically, targeted technological values we can bring out from the diaspora. Going back, before we go down that route, you know, when I hinted that they might not know about the technology, I was specifically referring to the functionalities. They would know Facebook, they would know Twitter, but they would not know that Facebook can give you a room where you can conduct a class, you know, for months without paying a penny. You know, not a lot of people know that. So you have to go to the specialist, or you have to be enlightened, or you have to want and be open for that knowledge, which is where we are struggling back home, because a lot of folks are not open to that kind of wanting to know things. So guys, if we got time, if you can give us 1 or 2 minutes of your time, from your point of view, I can start from you, Abby. What values do you think that technology can bring from diaspora, please, and unlock in Nigeria?
I think I've just put something on the message to everyone, saying that maybe a very simplistic way, you know, those of us in diaspora can provide a phone to a specific number of children, obviously not all children, because that's a huge number. Say maybe in a state, focus on a state, provide, make a phone, a working phone, available to every child of school age, and let them know how they can access the internet or Facebook. It's a very simple method, but I think it's delivery, you know.
That's fine. I'll take that on board as well. And like I said, I'll obviously put that on the platform, because there just might be somebody who's willing to send 100 phones to 100 kids in a school.
Exactly.
Connected and instruct them through that. Perfect. You know, and Sandra, do you want to help us out in terms of technological values you think we can bring from diaspora as well?
Yeah, well, for me, I think I'm so excited. To the point of just lost for words, actually, which is very strange. Excited in the sense that I think technology definitely, as Alex had just said, you know, these young people, they're already way ahead of us. So we're just like, I don't know, what should I call ourselves? you know, probably dead and buried really in terms of technology when it comes to where they are compared to us. So which really excites me in a way, because I think it just goes to show that Africa has a really good future.
Yes.
Because if we have that kind of number of young people in Africa, and you can imagine in another 2 decades, I don't know, 3 decades, what transformation that would bring to the whole continent. So that's what excites me. And whatever we can do in the diaspora to support them to realize their ambitions and aspirations, I think, yeah, let's do it. And I know loads and lots of people are doing it already, but it's coming together.
Collaboration.
To form a very solid base of support for them. So, yeah.
So
I'm just going to jump in here, share my nuggets very quickly.
Okay.
I believe in the continuation of the conversation. As long as the conversation is continuing, we'll arrive at a point. 20, 30 years from now, just like Sandra said, this is our aim for the children, for the youth of Nigeria. This is our aim.
So continue the conversation is a very, very high level value, because enhancing that engagement as well based on the conversation, that's what has led to us being here. And when we started, I showed you guys the fruit of our labors, the fruit of our conversations from day one. We all saw it live. So you can imagine where we would want to be in another 6 months with that, as long as the conversations keep on going. Okay, Dr. Obooks, if you can with us, unlock your own value for us, please, before we go. So targeted technological values that you think we can bring from the diaspora. It could be your service. I know you are a top project manager, and that's what we need to project manage a few things.
So I think what I have in mind is the how I want to continue the conversation. Perhaps I joined slightly late, so maybe we can track the progress. You know, okay. I don't want to be here and we just discuss broadly and we just go back and start a new topic every weekend. Okay? I want to see where we are with any issue we pick up and how we are driving it home to a point that it will make realize real value. That's my point here.
Okay, I like that point. I'll probably pick that up with you on a personal level, if that's okay. Because like you said, you missed the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was your first time on the call yesterday, and this is like the 18th meeting we've had. So as you can imagine, there is consistency somewhere and there's value in it. But I know what you're saying. It's straight up is a chat. It's not a structured approach to anything. It's a conversation so we can unlock it and then people follow up within the platform. And that is what has been happening in the background and even as we speak. But I'll pick that up with you individually, you know. So we'll go to Doctor now. Doctor, if you can, please, for us, you know, what kind of technological values do you think we can bring from the diaspora? Because at some point, somebody's going to watch this and listen to that value and run away with it, which is what we want.
Yeah. At the heart of this discussion is the word leverage. We are leveraging technology. And one of the ways we leverage we would leverage anything is communication. We need interactive technology, through communication. In the UK, it's a problem. So if it's a problem in the UK, definitely it's a problem way back home. Interaction, being able to package a knowledge or a background or an idea to recipients. You see, you know, packaging is a big problem. So being able to do that, it's fundamental. The Indians are doing it so well. The Indians, when they have an idea, they package it through, through their local ways of doing it, through their language most times. If you go to YouTube, it's usually communicated through there. So we can do something like this. Apologies for the noise, background noise, but that is what we need. Okay, being able to leverage that divide. Recipient must be attuned, or to what is being passed across. So we can have an interactive technology, that is centered on communication using our, systems, cultural systems, languages, that we are more attuned to, and so that the recipient, students can easily pick what we are. So that's one of the ways.
Awesome.
Apologies again.
From what I got from you there, which I think is exceptionally fantastic, packaging the right thing. So if you when we started, we exhibited what we have packaged already. So that's kind of key into what we are doing and what we need to do. We package our resources in a fundamental way and deliver it by communicating effectively. I'll just put that down because obviously that will come up again in our conversation. So thanks a lot, Doc. David, you've had a go already. Overs from your, sorry? Daphne, yeah, if you want to, we're doing a round robin, unless you're in a hurry, but I'm still going to get to you. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still going to come to you anyway.
So I can come in?
Yeah, you can, no problem,
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to say that in the last speaker has spoken very well, and I want to continue from where he stopped. In communicating, I think we should shift focus from the professors, the people in that category, in the traditional school setting. Maybe I don't know there was a speaker that was talking, and he mentioned talking with some professors that were not really willing to, key in. I think we should shift focus from that category of persons, and then we look at two angles we can come from. The online, almost at least 50% of youth in Nigeria are connected to the online community, so we could also leverage that. And online, if they're aware, if you communicate well via online, and they're aware of what they can gain from, what we've packaged, I think, yes, it will work. And then we could do it in synergy. We could do online communication. We could do even remote, communication. And in doing remote communication, it might require, because I don't see people in the diaspora coming down this way, it might require training, people you could call trainers,
right.
And they could go, people that are willing to, that are passionate, to go to the hinterlands, the rural areas, and then have, have a connection with the target public there, which is, I think, the youth. So I think we could, in communicating, we could utilize both online and remote, remote communication.
Excellent stuff.
Thank you.
You just highlighted the very essence of technology, which is to drive awareness. So you're saying that the value there is if we use these online platforms or online resources to create the necessary awareness, and that awareness could be anything. It could be the fact that we are lacking, the fact that we need more, or we need to be empowered. So I'll take that on board as well and put that down in. All of that will be on the platform at some point. So I'll go to Mr. Jakere, and then obviously before I go to Ty. And
sorry, so can I? Sorry, so there's something I want to mention too.
Yeah, feel free. Just for the sake of time, please, because we're maybe.
Okay, so I want to say that yes, there are people there's this tool, for educating people on technological know-how. Yeah. But the issue for the average Nigerian youth is the cost.
Okay.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe that is why people
that's fine, because we don't want to talk about the main problems we have. We know that we are.
No, I'm talking about what is on ground now, not future. I know we can walk around it.
No. I'm not talking about walking around it. We want to unlock the values first. So we don't miss anything. We know.
Okay, fine.
Because obviously we know there's poverty and all that, but we want to unlock value from this conversation. That is what it is. Like, you've given us a huge value in terms of using technology to create awareness, and obviously other people have given us theirs, right? So let's hear from the last. We've got about 3 people to go, and then yeah. So up first, Grant, if you want to help us unlock your own value in terms of targeted technological values that we can bring from the diaspora. It could be
so many has already been covered.
But there you go, yeah.
Just like to say, what Alex has said in terms of how these people are being smart. I think changing the narrative visually is key. So, and when I mean that is like, just a quick example of this certain group of boys, which I came across, you know, again, in the entertainment field. I don't know if you've heard of them, you know, Ikorodu boys, in terms of like, they were very, very interested in a Hollywood movie and a trailer of that. And they did the trailer in Nigeria with literally nothing. And I mean sticks and stones, literally. Yeah, and this got the eyes of the producers in Hollywood. And they have now been invited for the part 2 of the movie. You know, so things like that, you know, like we need to try and find a way of teasing out these skills from our, you know, youth in Nigeria. So like I said, again, just changing the narrative visually, you know, letting everybody know there's no middleman or anything in this kind of avenue nowadays. So yeah, that's just my take on it.
Awesome. I'll tell you how that aligns completely with what we're doing, because when we started all these conversations, yeah, we said conversations like this are normally had in a pub, in a bar. So you picture the scenario, we're all in a bar having a chat, and then when we leave the pub, it all dies. So we take conscious effort to say, we're going to visualize what we're saying. So you picture yourself like you're in a pub with me, but that value is captured. So books goes back to understanding what we are trying to do. That value is never lost because we've captured it digitally. And what you're saying, we're trying to change that narrative visually. So people see your actions, they see what you're all about, they see what you guys are talking about, and then they can extract the value. If it empowers them, it's fine. If they collaborate, it's fine. You know, but for us, it could be a different ballgame. But the essence is the value within the conversation that we know has been lost for so many years. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to I think a book you said, yes, Mr. Ojekere. Sorry for that. I know someone stole your thunder earlier on.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing?
Very well.
This is like a question to Mr. Alex. Probably he can be able to respond. Well, because I'm trying to set up something in my local government, in O1 local government area of Edo State. I'm trying to set up a computer center, like a learning center, with providing some computers and some learning manuals. So, but the problem I'm thinking of, because I've been going on several times, and is data, because data is very expensive. So when you have this lecturing or a program, how does the data come in? Because data is money, and not many of them have the resources to spend money on data. So I know it's free in that country, but in Nigeria, it's not free.
Okay, Alex, do you want to deal with this separately? Because
because of time, yeah. So we actually have almost 30,000 students in Nigeria, across Nigeria. There's a lot of courses we do that are cheap, they can pay for, but even the premium courses, most of the people, we didn't even know. They told us when we changed the school time, they said, actually, we stay after work to use work Wi-Fi to join your program. I was like, wow, that's so creative. So they have ways to work around it. That's what I'm basically saying. So the students that we have ways to work around it. But as Solo said, we can take that offline, and I can share with you some other strategies that we know of based on our network.
I know it might be your first time on the call as well. If you want to drop your details, you know.
Okay, I drop it on chat.
Part of the chat function, that's where the collaboration happens, right? So if you want to drop your details for Alex as well, or Alex drop yours for Ojekere, then you guys can pick it up on that level after that. But we still need to unlock your value, though, Mr. Ojekere. You know, so what we are saying is, what value does the technology, from your point of view, what does it bring? You know, from the diaspora in terms of value?
Well, I mean, like other speakers they have said, we have the technology over in Nigeria.
Right.
But again, the next thing is how do we make it function? Because if you look at it, everything goes down to corruption. Because if that corruption is eliminated, that technology, you see, you want to be able to provide it for everybody, not even for those in the corporate or those, like Mr. Yama said, in the school or in the civil servant. What about the guy, the mother in the marketplace, or this boy, the street boy? So see, the technology there, I know they have it, but again, we want to channel this into positive. Most of the technology we have in Nigeria, most of these guys who are from 419, they are educated. They went to school. So they now use that education into a negative aspect. So this time is we have to change our mind to use that technology to do something positive. I know many Nigerians, we are very smart, but we tend to go into the negative more than the positive. If we go more into the positive, Nigeria would be a great country in the world. I know that. I've seen it.
Great stuff. So you're saying using technology to leverage on some kind of orientation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Ty, if you got your time for us, if you can give us before we go to Alex to wrap it up in terms of technological values we can get from here. Ty, are you on the call? When you're ready, just raise your hand up. We'll come back to you if we have time. So Alex, just to wrap it up because we're running out of time. It's normally time box for an hour. The key thing is targeted technological values we can bring from the diaspora. Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard, one of the things I personally stay away from is the technology they have in Nigeria. It in some cases is even better than what we have in the West. I'll give you an example. We are talking of cell phone. They have cell phone. I don't know if I know you're in UK or maybe you're all over the world, but we're here in Canada. I know that I've seen cell phones that are really better than the ones we have in Canada. I don't know. They say they ship it from all over. So technology comes in different ways. Wi-Fi, again, it's there. Everything is there. Personally, I believe if everybody say, okay, what can I do? That is, let's keep the process. Let's keep the protocol. Let's keep the formalities. What we're doing. We have the School of Greatness, I just told you. We have 200,000 students. We have 30,000 students in Nigeria, 3,000 students in Jamaica. 90% of them, it's all technology. They're all taking their courses. We just mailed out almost 60 certificates, paper certificate, mailed out to Jamaica, mailed out here. So they are graduating. So why can't, if the system is there's a roadblock with corruption and people who are not open to technology, whoever wants to make a change, if you have a village, you have a former school, maybe you went to a school, you can work with them and connect with me offline. There are so many free tools that you can use to empower and educate young people. We don't need Buhari's involvement in this. This is not, we should not blame anybody. No, it was, I'll leave you with a quote from it says, we have to be the change we desire, Mahatma Gandhi. So I've stopped speaking to Professor this, speaking to Professor that, speaking to this university. I just extended, I had asked them to partner with me and they were taking time. So I extended my technology in there, put up a digital marketing. That is, if you're on Facebook, you will see School of Greatness on your face. If you are interested, you click, we give you a free course. It's called a course on greatness. You go through a 21-day program. You will see marketing, you will see leadership. Then you start sending me, hello, sir. Hello, sir. We get that all the time. So it's huge, huge, huge. Even if we charge them $1 for a course, which we are planning to release courses for $1. 1 million people, that's $1 million. So it's not just you are doing good, you are getting paid for doing good. So the opportunities are there.
When it comes to value, it doesn't get better than that because that's exactly what we're leaning towards. The whole platform is centered around unlocking value from individuals here, highlighting that value, collaborating with it, and seeing how we can get that synergy. Ty, if you're there, you want to unlock yours before we go because we barely have a minute. Good
evening to everyone. I'm sorry I was a little bit late to come here. I was talking in another meetings online. Thank you very much, Mr. Alex. You've said it all. And in all honesty, everything Mr. Alex said is a reflection of what is happening there. We just need to tap into this opportunity. There is a lot of technology in Nigeria. Look, they know how to use it. We just need to get them to be aware of what we need to get out of it. Look, in 2019, I set up a company which is NYS Plus, and NYS Plus is a plus for a reason. It's because we have 1.2 million NYC corpers without jobs, without the hope for jobs. And why? It's because they lack those digital and technological skills. Regardless of what course they studied, they lack those skills to compete in the modern day employment market. And this was the reason why we set this up. Now, what are they trying to get out of this? The corpers will be able, they will be equipped with the skills and the digital skills, the technological skills they need to work in this day, and they get the opportunity and an edge over those who don't have it. We created an app, and like Mr. Alex said, just $1 for a course. for 1.2 million NYC, first batch, second batch every year. Is an opportunity. We just need to tap into it. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And
sorry to interrupt, Mr. Tai, connect with me. I don't have your full name, but I'm interested in you right away. Oh, seriously, I'm interested in you right away. Okay. Oh, yes.
Remember the testimonial, though.
I'm very sorry. I'm in the car. I'm driving. I just parked somewhere. I have to speak. I'm very sorry.
Oh, yeah. Solo, please send my info to this guy. I want to connect with him.
Okay, I will get in touch.
For the guys who probably this is their first time, the whole point of this conversation or this thing we keep on going is to unlock value. Sometimes we come in without structure. We just assume we're in a pub. We assume we're just sitting down and having a chat. But we don't want that conversation to get missed, and that's why we're here. On a personal note, mine is still centered around everything that everybody has said, but my focus is the coding aspect of technology, because that's the building blocks for anything to do with technology these days. Technology's application of science, obviously just amplifying it, but it has a start. The start is learning what drives technology. That's the code. If that value is instilled in a 5-year-old boy, you have a genius at 10 years old. That is the time frame for it. There's no turning away from that. It's like if you know mathematics, you cannot unlearn knowing mathematics. So if you know 1 + 1, in 20 years time, it's not going to be 3. It's still going to be 2. You know, so that's how it works with coding. That is my own value, my own take on the thing, that I think we should start rolling out coding programs to kids as young as nursery schools if we can, because there are courses designed for those kids. On that note, if anybody has any hellos or goodbyes, it would be great. But if not, this is where we kind of come to the end of it, and hopefully you guys extracted the required value from it, because that's what it's really all about, you know.
Well,
thank you for
so
a great
much,
meeting.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much.
All
Yeah,
right.
and also, I'm not sure if that was covered, but we should also look at jobs for the young people. The young people these days, they need a lot. The empowerment for them is money.
I'll tell you what we can do for that, Alex. If you
Yeah.
tell us you want to talk about that, then we can put that into
Yeah, absolutely. So
people come and talk about jobs and how to create it and how to leverage it and how to find the value. That is what it is.
Yeah, please, because there's a video program we used to create for 4,000 Canadian dollars here. Somebody introduced me to a young guy in Lagos. He did it, and I say, how much you want to claim for it? He says, like, he sent us 200. I'm like, like 200, like what? And that's a huge. So we actually pay him $500, like twice what he required. But we're saving $3,000, and he's happy. He's very happy. We're expanding him. Now we want to give him more work and stuff. So sometimes we're paying so much money for the technology or expertise or talent here, and there are young people who may need that money to support themselves and their family. You know, so we're not just Nigeria has everything: talent, technology, everything. Those Light and NEPA story is over. These guys, they are smarter than that.
I mean, I can tell you that for free, that's something that we need to put in the pipeline for discussion, because before you guys came, we showcased the platform. Half of the graphics and the icons and the logos you saw on that, believe me, was done by Nigerians using a platform called Fiverr. So I specifically looked for Nigerians because I needed that collaboration, and they did all of that. You know, so yes, there is that, but do we amplify that? Do we create that awareness? Can we? Is another conversation for another day. You know, and I'm more than happy if you can drive that good day, right?
Yes, nice meeting you all.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
It's purposely designed or developed to enhance our engagement. So it's more or less just a basic platform that enhances communication and delivers value. And as progressively as we go, I would be giving everybody updates on what the platform is doing, and obviously the alignment we've been having with other platforms, because there's about 3 or 4 working together now to ensure that we deliver value to Nigeria.